Hello there, this is Coach Gregor Downey. I'm going to show you today how I do personal productivity. Some people, I'm sure, will go so far as to use really advanced productivity tools, project management tools. I've found a way to stick with the most basic tool, which is using Google Calendar. And so this is going to be a good video for someone who is a beginner or an intermediate project manager of themselves. So let's start. I'm going to assume that you have a Gmail account ready that you can use. I've just created one, Coach Gregor Downey, and I'm logged into it now. And so go ahead and pause the video if you haven't yet created your first Gmail account, and get that done and get to this page with us. Okay, so I'm going to assume you have your Gmail account ready, and let's get going. So in the top right corner we see these 9 dots. When we mouse over it, we see that it represents Google Apps, and right down here is the calendar. So let's move to calendar, and then I'm going to make that a permanent pinned bookmark on my page. Didn't let me go in. No, it did. Okay. So here's Google Calendar. I'm going to go ahead and pin that. And I'm going to pin my Gmail. And I recommend any world starts like this. You've got your Gmail. Yes, I already have it on my Android phone. Thanks. So you got your Gmail and you got your calendar. Okay. So the first thing, I'm going to move us over here. The first thing we're going to want to do is create new calendars. I'm going to turn off birthdays, don't use it. Reminders, don't use it. Tasks, don't use it. And we don't need to see holidays for now. We can turn all these things on later. We're definitely going to leave this primary calendar on. Okay, so here's tip 1, and all the tips will be outlined and put into the comments. Okay, so let's start by tip number 1 is make your default calendar your least favorite color. So I'm going to go in here, and is that going to give me? No. What's going to give me color choices? Maybe I don't get them. I thought you could pick any color you wanted. Oh, okay, it's this plus. Add custom color. All right, great. So I'm going to pick my least favorite color in the world, and that is pink. All right, let me get this as ugly as possible for my tastes. Right there. Boom. Could be uglier. What did I do? Plus. There we go. I want it just lighter than that. There we go. Okay, great. Now that to me is a gnarly color. I would never want to look at a pastel version of pink. It's doubly worse. Okay, why am I doing this? Because I want your brain to get in the habit of realizing, oh, that's a newly created calendar event, and it hasn't yet been assigned to a calendar I care about. So, let's see, I don't think I can delete any of these. I can't. Oh, hide from list. Boom. I'm going to hide this for now. Can I hide this guy? No. Google will not give us that level of power. Just for the sake of this, I want to make this as clean as possible. So I'm hiding these other calendars. Okay, so let's create our first calendar that we care about. I presume you're watching this video because your first interest is in improving your productivity, optimizing your use of time. And let's start with what we'll normally think of as chores. It's important that the words you pick on your calendar are the kindest, easiest, happiest words or phrases for your brain. Not my brain, your brain. So instead of using the word chore, for my brain, chore is kind of it's work I don't want to do. I don't like the word chore. I'm going to call it what it really is. And it's supporting my life, and I think of it in terms of time. So it's not the past, it's not the future. In terms of time, it's present tense, daily maintenance for the most part. It could be weekly, monthly, annual, quarterly in terms of periodicity. But I'm doing it in order to live a maximized today. I'm maintaining my today. I'm not improving my future, and I'm not fixing or cleaning up something old from the past. So to me, I think of chores as maintenance. And for me, my brain sees maintenance as a very flat word. Like a janitor does maintenance, a mechanic does maintenance. Maintenance. Machines break down, or they get old, or tired, or whatever, and they need maintenance. It's a flat word. It doesn't have a strong negative or positive charge to it for me. So I'm going to go with maintenance. That's what I like. You pick the word that works for you. This calendar is for your brain. All right. So how do we add a calendar here? Help me out. How do we add a calendar? Do we have to go into settings and add a calendar? So I'm up here in the top right corner, clicking on settings menu, letting go on settings, add a calendar. Okay. Create new calendar under add calendar, and we'll name it. Now, you're going to notice that I'm going to name things in a way that doesn't match how we speak. So I'm changing the word order of things to match more how my brain catalogs or categorizes things. And again, do what works best for your brain, okay? So in my case, I could put daily maintenance, but my brain much prefers to know like the punchline or the noun up front. In this case, it's maintenance. And then what modifies it, or the conditional, or the adjective would come after. So in my case, I'm going to go maintenance. I'm just going to go M-A-I-N-T, and I'm going to put the modifier after, like weekly or daily. So let's start with weeklies. What the heck? No. Let's pick the end game. Let's go with either daily or annual to start. Let's go with annual. Yeah. And we don't need a description for it, and we'll fix the color later. So we'll create that. I'm going to do one now, and then I'll do a series of them later. Creation in progress, that's fine. And then am I going to hit back on settings just to go back? Yeah. All right, there it is. Hey, look, it picked a random color for us. Okay. So you're going to pick a color. You're going to be changing your colors a lot over time. And I'm saying that because you're going to be optimizing your calendar many, many times. I already know the order in which I want to create the calendars based on the importance of the colors that are the most non-negotiable. What does that mean? It means I already know that my need calendar has to be in red. I need red to tell my brain, you can't move it, you can't miss the time. This is a kind of a do or die event. This is like a doctor's appointment. This is like meeting with a lawyer. Like this is top end stuff that if you miss it, you're going to be rescheduling it 6 months in the future, maybe having a fee if you miss it. For some of you, this is a call with your mom. I don't know how much she charges you when you miss. What I'm trying to say is that for me, red is taken. And then I look at, well, what's the next color I'm using for my calendars that has important meaning to it? And that would be my hobby calendars, my learning calendars. Those are in a shade of green. For me, my brain, green means go. It's a peaceful color. So for my brain, red and green are already taken. Okay? So what's left of the, most primary colors? I'm going to go with blue. Blue is a color that generally represents peace. Color of, well, it's not the color of water, but it's how we think of water symbolically in our brains, that water's blue. So I'm going to go with blue for my chores that I call maintenance. And we're going to start with one end of the spectrum because we're already at the end of the spectrum. We're at annual. So you're going to either pick the lightest version of blue or pick the darkest version. That's up to you. And again, whatever color you go with is totally up to you. You can change these later. It's easy. It's low cost, low time, low energy to change these things. Okay? I'm just sharing with you how I came up with mine. That I went with green, red then green, and then what was left was blue. And I went, all right, fine, let's go with blue for our maintenance. Okay. So maintenance, since it's annual, I want to go at the dark end of the spectrum. Pick a color here. Do I want my blue more yellow or more red? I'm going to go with like right in the middle somewhere like that. Okay, this shade of blue, and then do I want it darkest to lightest or most saturated to least saturated? Let's just start with something like this. Okay, there's one little side note I should mention up front. If you switch between dark mode and light mode, you have to make sure that these colors look good in each mode. Because sometimes it's going to be throwing white text on your colors, and sometimes it's going to be throwing black text on your colors. Now, I could be wrong. This could have nothing to do with light and dark mode, but I know it's something I have had to tinker with. So just beware. Make sure that as you look at your calendar in different scenarios, whether it's on your phone or on the laptop, whether it's light mode or dark mode, that the contrast is always good for light lettering on a darker color or dark lettering on a light color. All right. So we'll bump up against that as we create calendars. So I'm just going to start with this one, okay? Because as models go, we're done with the model. There's a default called Coach Gregor in a pink that Coach Gregor doesn't like, a color he doesn't like to look at. And we have a colored new calendar in a dark blue. And I'm going to eventually make out or build out 12 or 13 or 14 of these. But I think we can go right now and draw this to a close for the beginner version and just start with one event. So now that we've got this annual calendar, let's create an event. So I never use task and I never use appointment schedule. Okay? Event. What is the annual? What's an annual event? How about I could do check oil on the car, but you kind of want to check it more often than annual. Clean windows. I would call that an annual. It's kind of like when do the rains stop? Is one question, and when do you want to enjoy your windows the most? So I'm not a Windows expert. I'm going to guess for a lot of people in Northern America, this will be after spring. So perhaps, or I shouldn't say Northern America, I should say on the West Coast, in California, where we traditionally have our rains in the winter and the spring. So I'm going to go at the end of spring. So I'm going to go with like June 1st. I'm going to go with windows, start with the noun, and then the verb, clean, and then the periodicity, annual. So we can look down here and we see that the default for it, the default calendar, is the Coach Gregor calendar, and we actually want this on the maintenance calendar. And we know this is going to take longer than an hour to do, so we can come in here and I'll show you in a second. You can edit a lot of the things in here, or you can come down to the calendar itself and stretch and push and pull edges and parts of this event without having to come into this little window here. As you can see, it's an object. What? Yeah, sure, go ahead. It's an object that we can drag around. So I now have clean my windows. It's going to take only 3 hours. That's going to be some fast window washing, both sides of all 14 windows in the house on Saturday. So one of the first questions people ask is, well, why do you need 12 or 13 calendars, Gregor? Why not one? Well, it's because I've been doing this a while, and I know some of the things we want to be able to do, which is to snooze and delete items. And the items you're least likely going to delete are your annuals. They're the most likely you're going to snooze because you can. At the other end of the spectrum, the items you're least likely to snooze are your dailies, but you're most likely going to delete them because they're coming again tomorrow. If I don't do my push-ups today, delete it. I'll do them tomorrow. life goes on. It's great. I'm doing more push-ups than I would have done had I not been putting a daily push-ups reminder in my calendar, right? So for the annual event, this dark blue and the parentheses A tells my brain, hey, it's an annual. Do not delete this, or you're going to go all summer and fall with dirty windows, and that's 100 days of your life. You're going, man, I wish I had done my windows in the spring, and I've done that for years. And cleaning your windows doesn't take forever, and you can't put it off for 10 years, or the mold and moss will grow around the edges, and it gets harder to clean when you eventually clean them. So if you miss a year, okay, you'll live, but don't put them off 3 or 4 years, right? So there is the example of building a custom calendar, specifying a name, giving it a color that has meaning to your brain, and considering the snoozability or deletability of the item. And I'm going to stop here, and I'll pick up in another module for adding far more calendars and how I use the workspace more. So I'm going to stop here.